Welcome, everybody. Ted Huntington here for another Women's Rights podcast sponsored by Women's Rights Publishing and Author Services. We encourage everybody to join our Patreon group, which helps to support these videos and helps to support Women's Rights Publishing and Author Services. My special guest today is Lynn Goodwin. Lynn owns Writer Advice, and she's also a very accomplished author. Her newest book is called Never Too Late, From Wannabe to Wife at 62. It's with Kohler Press. It was the winner in the 2018 National Indie Excellence Award. She was also a finalist at Next Generation Indie Book Awards and picked up a 5-star review at Readers' Favorites. Lynn has also written You Want Me to Do What? Journaling for Caregivers and Talent, which was shortlisted for a Literary Lightbox Award, won a bronze medal at the Moonbeam Children's Book Awards, and was a finalist for a Sarton Women's Book Award. So very accomplished author. Lynn's work has appeared in Voices of Caregivers, Hip Mama, Dramatics Magazine, Inspire Me Today, The Sun, I talk for a living, goodhousekeeping.com, purpleclover.com, and many other publications. She is a reviewer and teacher at Story Circle Network. She's a former educator as well. And she is an editor, writer, and manuscript coach at Writer Advice. I'm going to put links to all of her work below. Please welcome Lynn Goodwin. Hi, Lynn.
Hi, it's nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Go ahead and show those books again. While I was reading, the way this video works is it shows the person who's talking. So go ahead.
Okay. This is talent. I am not talented at putting books on the screen, but Sandy Mason is very talented. She's just finding out what her talents are. And she and her family get some horrible news. And that's an additional thing she has to cope with. And she grows a lot in the book, in good ways. And this is Never Too Late. And the subtitle is From Wannabe to Wife at 62. Yep, it's a memoir. It really happened. If my husband were here right now, he'd stick his head in and say hi. But he's on his way to add one more thing to our mobile mansion, also known as the RV.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. So you do a lot of RVing, I suppose.
We make several trips a year, yes.
Oh, very nice. I want to know, I know our viewers will want to know, I was checking out your books, and one of the things that really jumped out is your reviews. You have a lot of reviews and really, really highly rated books. So what is your secret? Because I know that's a key for writing and the Amazon algorithm. What are your secrets for these reviews?
I have no secrets. I have asked people for reviews. I've made my book available. I shared it with a lot of friends. But I also have made it available on book review sites, which have not worked out terribly well. Word of mouth is really good. And then once people read the books, they like them. They find them unique and very well written and very character driven, which is, in my opinion, is the way to do it. That's how I do it. There are other ways to do it, but I'm always interested, having been a drama teacher, I'm always interested in what the character wants, what he can do to get it, and what is in his way. And that drives the plot for me. And my characters grow and make discoveries and have what the literary world calls character arcs. And people find my writing very natural, which is good.
So no great secrets, but good stories and good characters, and that leads to good reviews.
For me, it does. Yes, absolutely.
And like you said, ask people for it. You can't, you don't want to incentivize them, but you're just asking them to review it.
Yeah, I ask a lot of writers I know, and when people win a copy or whatever, I say, if you like a book, if you could just put a review on Amazon, one or two sentences telling readers why they should buy a copy of the book. That's more than enough for me. Sometimes people will write to me personally and I'll tell them such and such would make a really good review. Could you post it on Amazon for me?
That's great. That's good advice. Yeah. So how did you catch the writing bug? You were a teacher,
Mhm.
and were you writing while you were teaching, or did that happen after your teaching career? How did this writing bug hit you?
Well, the writing bug that is propelling me right now started when I was taking care of my mother, who was a wonderful, strong woman with undiagnosed Alzheimer's and therefore an altered perception of reality. And from time to time, I would take a little notebook and go in the bathroom and write for 15 to 20 minutes, sometimes less, to restore my sanity and put my perceptions back in the world. I joined an online writing group. Um, and I liked that. And I knew more than they did. Sorry, guys, but they're not going to see this, and it's true. Um, and I started then in 1997. I was just doing little stuff online. That was my outlet, and I was writing for people. And then I got a chance to be the research consultant on a thing called Haven's List, and they shut down and gave me their 35-person email list, and I started what became Writer Advice, and that launched me in a bunch of different directions. And then talent had lived in the back of my head since the closing night of Oklahoma in 1979, which we did at San Ramon High. Yes, there's a similarity to San Ramos High, but none of the characters are the people I worked with. Um, there was I we did the show in the gym. I had certain lockup procedures I had to do, and so when I went around to double check the back doors of the gym, I found a group of people who were in the band orchestra, and one student who knew me got this look of terror in his eyes as he slipped his beer can behind his back, and ideas began to form. And I worked on that book for a long time while doing a lot of other things. And then, never too late, no, about the second or third time I went out with Richard, I thought, if this goes anywhere, this could really be a good book. And I did a lot of journaling. And of course, he's read it. He's read it twice, although he's not really a reader. He used to read books on tape. Now he listens to Sirius. Um, it's all true. Um, and he let me keep things I thought he would suggest I not um, include. He said, "No, that's what really happened."
So what advice would you give? There's a lot of people out there that they have a great book in their head, and they go through their careers and they're distracted, and their careers go in different tangents, and they always have this thought, one of these days I'm going to be a writer. And that seems to be what happened to you. You caught the writer bug, after your career had already flourished in education. What advice would you give to somebody who has always had this bucket list of writing?
Oh, well, if you have a bucket list of writing and if you actually write, then you are a writer already. It's not a someday thing. It's a matter of, I recommend journaling at least 5 days a week. Just put down your thoughts. And if something sticks or you keep going back to it, that's probably a theme you should be writing about. And you probably have a story, I can guarantee, as a matter of fact, you have a story that nobody else can tell. Nobody can tell your story but you. Right. I hope this is okay on a podcast. Annie Lamott, renowned writer, says to give yourself permission to do a shitty first draft. And I remind myself of that pretty often, including when I'm writing a synopsis or a query letter. It's only a first draft. You can go back and finish it. You can go back and fix it. And I know that, and that really helps me. Just keep writing. Join a writers group if you want one. And if you find one that is suitable for you, appropriate to what your goals are, you can take a lot of classes online. I offer manuscript consultations, so do a lot of other people. I recommend you get a sample of their work or my work before you sign up with anybody. You just have to get it out of your head, through your fingers, and onto the paper or the screen.
So the bottom line is just write, but also constantly work on your craft.
Yeah, you got to keep improving your craft. I know I'm not a top tier author yet. I would love to become one. I don't know if it will ever happen. I do take a lot of classes. I'm doing a lot of workshops right now through IWWG, which is the International Women Writers Guild, and I'm offering some stuff through SCN, which is Story Circle Network. And of course, I offer the individual consultations and read a lot, of course. Read in your genre, read what appeals to you, read in a variety of genres. Reading is different from listening to podcasts, watching the news, watching TV series. You can learn from them too, but you also need to familiarize yourself with how books look in print, unless you're going to go completely the audiobook route. I know it's sometimes hard for dyslexics to read. And for those people, I suppose I do recommend audiobooks. You can learn a lot about structure from an audiobook. I find I'm a much better print person than audio person. I mostly do nonfiction on audio.
I think that's probably true as far as being able to hone your craft and to pull different ideas and styles and points of view. I would think that would be difficult to pull that from audiobooks, certainly from TV or movies, but you kind of have to see how it's laid out and structured.
Yeah. But different people process in different ways. So do what works for you.
Right. Good advice.
That nobody else can tell. Your brain works a little differently from anybody else's. But if something doesn't work, try differently.
Right. That's good. Excellent advice. So what were the great influences for you? What authors and what books?
That's a good question. And I'd love to have a good answer for you. You know, I'm thinking quantity rather than quality. I used to love the Laura Ingalls Wilder books when I was a kid, and I got very familiar with those stories. And I've been doing author interviews for 20 some odd years. And I always read a book before I interview the author. I'm not somebody who just sends out a series of questions. So I have had a wide variety of authors in my life. I tend to veer a little more towards women writers than men writers, and that's accidental, but it happens. Staring at my bookshelves, truly it's about the story. It's about the content. It's about what happens to those characters. I have been a fan of Jodi Picoult, but the last time I picked up one of her books, it wasn't right for me. I am reading a She Writes book that'll be out in July or August, I'm not sure which. Wonderful story. I happen to know the author. Really good book, and she'll be interviewed on Writer Advice. But it's the story that's holding me.
It's interesting you mentioned that most of the books that you read are by female writers. I'm just curious, would you be able to tell a female writer from a male writer if you didn't see who wrote it?
Sometimes. Women tend to, this is a tendency. Men's writing tends to be more event oriented, and women tend to go deeper into motivation and reasoning. But that's a tendency. It is not always true. I know a very prolific woman writer who was told when she was getting her MFA, you need to write more like a man. And she blew it off. And she's just fine, trust me. Mostly no, but sometimes yes.
Yeah, I'm thinking about doing at some point in time, like a panel interview, because I've had several male writers who have wanted to participate in these interviews, and they're mostly for female authors because this is sponsored by Women's Rights Publishing and Author Services. But the gist of the panel would be, can a man write a female voice? What do you think?
Yes. I believe anybody can write any voice if they can get into that character's head. I can't get into every character's head. I've had a little practice getting into my husband's head to try to figure out, stuff that you figure out when you're married.
Men are simple, though.
I thank you for saying that. Motivations are pretty linear. Not always. I don't know that I could write in the voice of a serial killer, male or female. I don't think I want to get into their head, quite frankly. So I'm not going to be doing that. But when I taught English and drama, I learned a lot about immature thought and conviction, lots of conviction. And that also helped me a great deal with talent.
Oh, yeah. Good information. Yeah, I appreciate it. So what else would you like to tell our viewers about your books, about writing, any parting words of wisdom?
I would like to tell people that you should check out Writer Advice. It's www.writeradvice.com. There's no S in it. If you write flash fiction, we have a flash fiction contest going. Closing date is June 2nd, but there's always a contest going. 3 of them are flash, and one of them is called Scintillating Starts. The last one of the year is Scintillating Starts. And that's where you get feedback on the opening of your book. One of the heads I can get into at this point is I can become an agent in my head and imagine, can I sell this book or not? And so I can give you feedback from the point of view of an agent as well as my own. And that's a pretty good deal. I would encourage you strongly to tell your story, whatever it is. Look at it from your perspective. Consider other people's perspectives. Dig for all of the motivations, because life is not simple and there's usually more than one. And enjoy writing. Enjoy the journey.
Yeah, fantastic advice.
Yeah.
Well, I really have appreciated our chat. Really enjoyed it. I'm going to put links to Writer Advice and to your links as well and a link to womensrights.net as well. And our please again support our Patreon page. Thank you so much, Lynn. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. I don't know anything about women's right. Women's right?
It's a new publishing and author services. It's a nonprofit that was just launched about a month or so ago in April. So it's focusing on great women stories and women empowerment.
Okay. Do they do any YA?
We will do it. Yes. We're not. It's not limited to any specific genre. It's just the overall intent is to get out the stories of great and strong women.
Okay, that sounds really good.
All right.
I'm glad we ran into each other.
Likewise, definitely. All right. You have a good one. Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.